We'll be reading from the book of Luke, chapter 8, beginning in verse 4. When a large crowd was coming together, and those from various cities were journeying to him, he spoke by way of a parable. The sower went out to sow his seed, and as he sowed, some fell beside the road, and it was trampled underfoot, and the birds of the air ate it up. Other seed fell on rocky soil, and as soon as it grew up, it withered away, and because it had no moisture. Other seed fell among the thorns, and the thorns grew up with it and choked it out. Other seed fell into the good soil and grew up and produced a crop 100 times as great. And he said these things, he would call out, "He who has ears to hear, let him hear." His disciples began questioning him as to what this parable meant. And he said, "To you it has been granted to know the mysteries of the kingdom of God, but to the rest it is in parables, so that seeing they may not see, and hearing they may not understand. Now the parable is this: the seed is the word of God. Those beside the road are those who have heard, then the devil comes and takes away the word from their heart, so that they will not believe and be saved. Those on the rocky soil are those who, when they hear, receive the word with joy, and these have no firm root. They believe for a while, and in time of temptation fall away. The seed which fell among the thorns, these are the ones who have heard, and as they go on their way, they are choked with worries and riches and pleasures of this life, and bring no fruit to maturity. But the seed in the good soil, these are the ones who have heard the word in an honest and good heart, and hold it fast, and bear fruit with perseverance. No one, after lighting a lamp, covers it with a container, or puts it under a bed, but he puts it on a lampstand, so that those who come in may see the light. For nothing is hidden that will not become evident, nor anything secret that will not be known and come to light. So take care how you listen, for whoever has, to him shall more be given, and whoever does not have, even what he thinks he has shall be taken away from him." I think when I first read that and understood what it was saying, it shocked me. Because I always thought that the reason that Jesus taught in parables was so that people could better understand what he was saying. Because a parable is para, beside, and bole is to cast. It's casting one thought down alongside another. A spiritual thought down alongside a physical example so that people could see it easier. But in reality, what Jesus is saying is that he speaks in mysteries, so that you have to seek, you have to search, you have to look at it very closely in order to understand. There were a lot of people that when they saw the miracles that were performed by Jesus, accepted it, believed it, and followed it. There were others that saw the same miracles, and they turned away and got angry, or found some other explanation, even as far as saying that what was being done was done by the power of the devil. I don't quite understand how there can be such a wide difference between how people perceive the same things. So, I want to have a little thing this morning. We all have eyes, but can we see? We all have eyes, but can we see? We all have ears, some better than others. Some need a little enhancement. But sometimes Sometimes even with good ears, we don't hear. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to read you something here that I got that I want to look at. Heidi sent me this. Actually, she sent it to Anna, and Anna decided she'd share it with me. We have eyes, but can we see? We have ears, but can we hear? One day a professor entered the classroom and asked his students to prepare for a surprise test. They all waited anxiously at their desks for the exam to begin, and the professor handed out the exams with the text facing down as usual. Once he had handed them all out, he asked the students to turn over the papers, and to everyone's surprise, there were no questions. Just a black dot in the center of the sheet of paper. The professor, seeing the expression on everyone's faces, told them the following. Now I want you to do this. I want you to do what we're asking to do. I want you to not write it down, but I want you to think about what you see here. And the students, confused, got started on the inexplicable task. At the end of the class, the professor took all the papers, all the exams, and started reading each one of them out loud. In front of all the students, all of them with no exceptions, defined the black dot. That's what we see. Trying to explain its position in the center of the sheet, and after all had been read, the classroom was silent and the professor started to explain. Now, he said, I'm not going to grade you on these, so there's no grade on this test. Don't worry about that. I just wanted to give something for you to think about. No one wrote about the white part of the paper. Everyone focused on the black dot, and the same seems to happen in our lives. We have a white piece of paper to observe and enjoy, and we always focus on the dark spots. Our life is given to us by God with love and care, and we always have reasons to celebrate. Nature renewing itself every day. Our friends all around us. The job that provides our livelihood, and it goes right along with what Ron was saying just a minute ago. The miracles we see every day, well, it's miracles if we have to do it. It's not miracles when God does it. But however, we insist on focusing only on the dark spots, the health issues that bother us, the lack of money, the complicated relationships we have with family members, the disappointment that we feel with a friend. The dark spots are very small when you compare them to everything else we have in our lives, but they're the ones that pollute our minds. Take your eyes away from the black dots in your life. Enjoy each one of your blessings, each moment that life gives you. Be happy and live a life filled with love. Wish I'd have had a professor like that. We do have a professor like that. We have a great teacher that teaches us that principle all the time. That's something that we should be spreading to people around us in this world. It's something that we should recognize first beyond all other people in this world. We should understand this principle of looking at the beauty, looking at the future. You know, what was that last song that we sang? What was? Yeah, get that song for me. I want to talk about that for a second.
The Great Redeemer. Is that you?
No, the one before that.
Paradise Valley.
Yeah, Paradise Valley.
898.
898. Okay. Turn to that song, if you would. I want to deviate a little bit because we don't have as much time as I really wanted for this. What was the page number?
898.
898. Okay. Life is filled with a lot of stuff. You know, we have good, we have bad, we have things going on every day, and life is just a mixture of the good things and the bad things, the things that we need to weed out and throw away, the things that we need to keep. But you know, as we look at these events in life, there was a way that the writers of the New Testament gave us to solve those problems. We have three types of songs that we sing. We sing psalms. Those are praises to the magnificence of God, the majesty of God. We sing a lot of those songs. That's probably the most of what we sing. Our God, He is alive. Amen. Oh man, I get chill bumps every time I sing that song. And the one that I can't remember the title now. Yeah, I know it really well. It's the one that used to be in the front of the book. What was that? The one that was in the front of our other book. It doesn't matter. Our book is filled with these songs that we sing about how great God is. How great thou art. That's the one. Thank you, dear. That's the one I was looking for. And we sing those songs, and it helps us to remember the majesty of the Almighty and the greatness of His Son. And then we sing songs like this, Paradise Valley. I don't know what you think this song is supposed to be teaching us or telling us, but it's to take your minds off the black dot. Did you notice in every one of those pictures that you did show those pictures, right? Okay. In every one of those pictures, at the very center of that picture was a black dot. You know what it was? It's the eyeball of a beautiful bird. But how many times do you focus on the black dot in that picture? Because it's got so much beauty around it. And we don't focus on that when all of that beauty is right out there where it jumps out at our eyeballs before the black dot does. So how is it that we focus on that so much in our lives when we got so many beautiful things to think about, and yet it's the hardship, it's the tough things, it's the black dots that we focus on? I want you to read this song with me. As I travel through life with its trouble and strife. You got any of that? Is there any trouble and strife in this life? Good grief. If you want trouble and strife, have kids. That'll give it to you. If you want trouble and strife, let them have kids, and you can have more. It is tough to raise a family and do what's right by them and give them the things they need and not worry so much about the things that they want, because they're going to look bad at you if you don't give them the things that they want. All of these relationships, this, man, drama up to here. But what is it that we focus on? This song, as I travel through life with its, as I travel through life with its trouble and strife, I have a glorious hope that gives cheer on the way. Soon my toil will be o'er, and I'll rest on that shore where the night has been turned into day. As I roam the hillside, I'll tell you guys, I've told you before, it's almost like I've died and gone to heaven moving here. I've roamed a bunch of hillsides since I've been here. And I do it because of this, because you can't go out there and look at everything that God's created and be in a bad mood. If you do, you're a hopeless case. Check yourself into the ward, because you need it. But as he says, as I roam the hillside or I list to the tide, I've got two favorite places to be: in the mountains or on the ocean. I love the Gulf of Mexico. I'm telling you, that is, I went down there when I got sick just so I could be on the Gulf of Mexico. didn't quite work out that way, but the trouble and the strife got in the way. But it was why I was going there. Because as I stand out there on the shore, or if I'm in a boat on that water, I look around and I see the beauty that God has made in this world after we've messed it up. Can you imagine what it was when He first created it? Can you imagine what this place was like when God created it and He looked at it every day? He looked at it and said, that's what I wanted. That's good. Yes, I like that. I don't know that He said all that, but when He said that's good, that's what I think that means. I don't think it could be any better. When God first made it, before we got a hold of it, it was perfect. Now, Peter says in 2 Peter chapter 3, what are we going to do since all this that we look at, all the trees, the mountains, the ocean, everything is to be burned up, to melt with intense heat? Since all of this is going to be destroyed, what are we looking for? He goes on to say, a new heavens and a new earth. This time, wherein righteousness dwells. There's not going to be sin to mess this one up. When I think about that, when I understand that God's going to create a place for us that is just what He said in the beginning, that's good. I can't wait for that. So when I sing these songs, when I am on a hillside, when I'm down at the water, when I'm looking at the beauty that this place still has to offer in its diminished state, he goes on and says, a faint picture is there. A faint picture is there of a land bright and fair. I've a glorious hope to give cheer on the way. Soon my toil will be o'er, and I'll rest on that shore where the night has been turned into day. As I roam the hillside or I list to the tide, as I pluck the sweet flowers that grow in the dale. Who doesn't love a garden? I've seen some of the most beautiful flowers. You know, I grew up in Florida, and I remembered Florida as being a place where anything would grow. And I was so disappointed. I went back and nothing seems to want to grow in sand and salt. Just, you know, if you're 20 miles inland, you still have sand and salt. And things just don't want to grow. But out here, we had 5 acres in Washington State. And I remember planting. Oh, we planted everything. We planted watermelons. I had the best watermelons I've ever tasted in my life. Best cantaloupes I've ever had. We'd go down the road a ways and we'd get peaches, the best that you ever... I mean, just you bite into them and they just flood your clothes with juice. Ah, they were so good.
Making me hungry.
Yeah, me too. So we felt like we were in heaven when we got back here and she started canning pears and peaches and plums. And I mean, we're going to have to buy 2 more freezers. But it's a faint picture. It's a faint picture of what is waiting for us. Now we sing this song for a reason. This is what's called a spiritual. We sing psalms, praises to God, how great He is, and hymns. Hymns are kind of a combination of things. Hymns are a call to service. Hymns are what the Roman army would sing on their way to battle. It's something to stir your blood. Something to get you ready for a fight. Something to give you courage. Something to make you want to go through it, whatever it is. I can handle it. That's what a hymn is for. And then these spiritual songs. The songs like the old Negro spirituals. They were designed by them, for them, to get them through the day. Whatever misery life had to offer that day, they sang to look past it. It's looking beyond is what the songs are for. So when we sing these spiritual songs, we're singing about a land bright and fair. We're singing about what God has waiting for us at the end of this fight, this struggle, this hardship that we face. I'll tell you what, I'm tired. I'm tired of the struggle. But I'm not going to quit. I can guarantee you that. I'm not going to quit. Because I want to see that land bright and fair. I want to be there to enjoy what God has been preparing for me since time began. He's preparing it for you too. You know when Jesus said, "In my Father's house are many mansions," he wasn't talking about a building with ivory and nice carpets, and that's not what he was talking about. Finest house Dan can build. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about a place for our spirit to live. When Jesus went to the land of the Gadarenes and these demon-possessed ones met him, they said, "What have we to do with you, Jesus, Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time?" They understood that their torment was going to be cast out of their dwelling, their house. They were not going to be in that house any longer. The house they were in they were sharing a house like the refugees that come from other countries. They come and live 15 in a house, in a one-room house. I admire them for doing that. They come and do that so they can get ahead, so that they can get a foothold, so that they can become an example of the American dream. And I admire them for that. But these demons were all packed in that house. That was a man. They were sharing his body with him. And they understood that when the Lord came, he was going to cast them out of that, and they'd have no home. They understood that when they were cast into the abyss, that meant homelessness for the spirit. Not a land bright and fair. We're talking about outer darkness. No place. Homeless forever. That's a scary thought. Have you ever been homeless? Have you ever experienced that? That is the scariest, worst feeling I've ever had in my life. It's worse than darkness. It's worse than anything, having no place and no prospect of a place. But that's not God's people. God's people have Paradise Valley waiting for them. It says, "As I pluck the sweet flowers that grow in the dale, a faint picture is there of a land bright and fair, where perennial flowers ne'er fail. Though your garden is rare, it is not to compare with the flowers that bloom in the garden above. In the midst of it grows Sharon's perfect sweet rose. 'Tis the wonderful flower we love." You know what Sharon's sweet rose is? You know, we sing these songs. Do we know what we're singing when we sing them? Can we see what we're supposed to see by singing these songs? Paul said, teaching and admonishing one another, speaking to one another with these psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in our hearts to the Lord. There is a purpose in our singing, and it's not to glorify somebody's voice. It's not to make music with a guitar. It's to teach and admonish. That's counsel by warning. That's what admonish means. To teach and admonish with these psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs. Singing and making melody with the instrument that he specifies there, our hearts to the Lord. In these songs, these spiritual songs, we talk about getting past this life that sometimes has some misery. You know, I don't want any of us to get to the point where we see no beauty in life. Because the beauty is all around us. The beauty is a faint picture of what God has prepared for His people. Let's don't ever lose sight of that. It's too easy to focus on the black dots and not see the canvas that's waiting to be painted. We're out of time. I'll tell you what. We have such an opportunity here. Such an opportunity to reach people. There are a lot of people out there that are honest-hearted, good-hearted people that Jesus said His gospel was intended for. There's a lot of people that don't care about the truth. We don't need to be concerned about them. God will weed those out. Our job is to plant and to water and let God bring forth the increase. So if you need to obey this gospel this morning, if you know what you need to do to come to God, to become part of the cure and not part of the problem, won't you come while we stand and sing the song that Ron has for us?